Greetings. Hi, everybody. Michael DDA here. Thank you for joining me. The last 2 weeks, we've been talking about Yehovah's instructions on sanctifying and consecrating the priests. We talked about their garments, how they had to be put together. We talked about last week about a bull that needed to be, I think it was a burnt offering. Then we had a ram that was a burnt offering, and we had another ram that was used as a shalomim. And it was, again, something that was used to consecrate and to sanctify the priests. I thought it was interesting that we talked about, where was it? It talked about a heave offering. And we saw that that heave offering was from the bull, here it is up here, was this word tarumah. Tarumah. It was a gift. They call it a heave offering. Again, offering is added. A heave, a tarumah, is a present to Yehovah. And this happens to be a present that was going to go to the priests from the slaughtered shalomim. I'm saying that because we're going to use that same word today. We're going to see it again today as we talk about, what was it? We're going to talk about an offering, a gift that we're going to give to Yehovah for each man of Israel's seed. Remember, Israel's seed is all men. So we're going to see that today. Well, we're going to start then with 30, verse 1. He says, you shall make an altar to burn incense on. You shall make it of acacia wood. Isn't it funny? We have, it was 27 and 28 that we were talking about, maybe even 26, 27, and 28, that we were talking about building the Ark of the Covenant and the mercy seats, the table of incense, what do they call it? I'll call it the tent of Moed. There was a covering that went over it, and then there was 4 tents that went over that. And we talked about the fence, the screen that went around that whole area that kind of kept people from coming in. Remember, we can't have unclean people coming in, especially women, coming into that tabernacle. Even the outside, and we're not talking about the inside of the tabernacle, we're talking about the outside of the tabernacle. So now, finally, we're talking about the altar of incense. Why did Yehovah wait so long to talk about the altar of incense? It's really just surprising to me. But here it is. And you shall make an altar to burn incense on it. It says thou. Talking to Moses. Thou shalt make it of acacia wood. A cubit shall be its length. A cubit shall be its width. It shall be square, and 2 cubits shall be its height. Its horns shall be of one piece with it. So we're going to build something that is going to have the horns actually carved into a single piece of wood. We're going to overlay it. It says in the very next verse. What do I have here? Oh, yeah, 18 cubit. A cubit by 2 cubits is 18 by 18 by 36. Easy peasy. Here it is. Here's a picture of it. Rendition, of course, and the tools that are going to go, that'll fit with it. But it kind of helps us to understand what it is we're talking about. Let me go back. Alt tab. Yeah, all right. It says you shall overlay its top, its sides all around, and its horns with pure gold. What do they call that? Veneering? There's a term for that. Overlay, maybe that's what it is. You take a really fine piece of gold, very, very thin, and you can kind of attach it to the woods. And I think that's kind of what they're doing. Its sides all around, its horns with pure gold. And you shall make for it, I made it, so the altar, so we know exactly what the it is. Thou shalt make for it a molding of gold all around. 2 gold rings you shall make for it under the molding on both its sides. You shall place them on 2 sides, and they shall be holders for the poles with which to bear it. You shall make the poles of acacia wood and overlay them with pure gold. Think about this. If we're having a veneer type effect on these poles, can it be more than a veneer? I don't know. How would you affix gold to these poles any other way? I don't know how you would do that. Maybe they had some technology that we don't understand. But it seems like if you're going to have these gold poles go through these gold holders, these, what do they call them? Poles overlaying with golds. What they just said here? Holders. They just call them holders. They will be holders for the poles. When you're carrying it, you'd wear through the gold really fast. I mean, carrying it any length of time. And if you're going to go miles on end with these things, you're going to wear down that gold. Does that mean they have to do that on a regular basis? I wonder. I don't know. You shall make the poles of acacia wood, overlay them with gold. Thou shalt put it before the veil that is before the ark of the testimony, before the mercy seat that is in the testimony, where I will meet with you. This is going to be a place that is going to be visited twice a day, every day, as long as we have this Ark of the Testimony, tent of the Tabernacle, tent of meetings. It says, Aaron shall burn on it sweet incense every morning. When he tends the lamps, he shall burn incense on it. These lamps, tens, this is the word they're using for tens. It's just making it well, refreshing the oil that needs to be in the lamps is how I would probably address that. How long did these lamps burn? Did they burn 24 hours a day? I used to think they did, but I'm coming to the understanding that they only burn at night. With all the coverings that are on this tabernacle, however, it seems like it would be fairly dark in there. You'd only have the front end that has one veil that would allow any kind of light in. So I would think it would tend to be fairly dark in there, but it must be enough light to work in. Verse 8 says this, and when Aaron lights the lamps at twilight, he shall burn incense on it, a perpetual incense before Yehovah throughout your generations. How do they do that throughout your generations? It says olam, I'm guessing. No, door. Door is the word they use for that. Revolution of time, throughout your revolutions of time. We're going to do it for a long time. It's continual. He says he lights the lamp. So this was my thinking. I wrote this years ago. It says, are the lamps, I have it twice, but are the lamps burning continually or not? My answer is they're not. They're burning from evening till morning. They call it dusk to dusk. Here it says this, and he lit the lamps before Yehovah, as Yehovah commanded Moses. This is Exodus 40, when they're actually setting up the tabernacle for the first time. Leviticus 24 says, command Israel's seed that they bring to you pure oil of pressed olives for the light, to make the lamps burn continually outside the veil of the testimony in the tabernacle of meetings. Aaron shall be in charge of it from evening until morning before Yehovah continually. So this is going to have, they're giving us the time that they're going to do it from evening till morning. And it shall be a statute forever for your generations. He shall be in charge of the lamps of pure gold lampstands, the pure gold lampstand before Yehovah continually. Here it says, and they burn to Yehovah every morning and every evening. Every morning, burn to we're talking about the incense now. And they burn to Yehovah every morning and every evening. It says, Olah, raising up. They said sacrifices. Why are they talking about sacrifices when we're talking about incense? We're going to see you don't burn any sacrifices on the gold altar. You only burn incense. So it's about raising up. The Olah in this particular case is talking about ascending, sweet incense. They also set the showbread in order on the pure gold table, and the lampstand of gold with its lamps to burn every evening. For we keep the command of Yehovah, our Elohim, but you have forsaken him. They're talking about the priests versus whomever they're talking about here in 23:13. Or not 23, 2 Chronicles 13. Olah, talking about ascending. That's what the burnt offering is all about. It's a sweet aroma to Yehovah, but it doesn't happen on the incense altar. It happens on the brass altar that is outside the tabernacle. Hebrew word carries with it a connotation of an upward motion. Still talking about olah. It is used generically to denote an ascension to a higher place. I found it interesting that they use the word olah when we're talking about incense, because when I think about an olah offering, we're usually talking about an animal, but this one is talking about raising this fragrance to Yehovah. We're going to see it's a very specific fragrance. It says theologically significant is the fact that this verb is used in a relation to the person's appearance before Elohim. One must go up and stand before Yehovah. This is what it's all about. When the priests are doing it on the altar, they are the only ones that can touch the altar. When the priest, the high priest, goes in to do the incense in the morning, he's the only one that can do it. And again, they're raising up the smoke from the burnt offering, or the olah. Here is this from this one? Yes, I think it might be. And Aaron causes the lamps to go up at the dusks. Go up at the dusks. He does perfume it. A continual perfume before Yehovah to all generations. Yeah, this is just another wording there. But they said lamps at twilight. between the evenings. And I thought it was interesting. They said between the dusks. So in a sense, the morning has a dusk also. It's a transition from darkness to light. So it means the priest is doing it at different times throughout the year because this rotation of the sun. Well, let's continue. He said, you shall not offer strange incense on it. Again, the altar of incense. Now here he's talking about burnt offerings. Or grain, which is the word they're using here, is minka. Or pour a drink offering on it. That is the nesak. We're going to see those when we get to Leviticus. But I thought it was interesting. You shall not offer strange incense. Strange incense. You know, this is a word I think that's important for us to learn. Let me see if I can get this to go down a little bit so you can see it more easily. Ola al ascend thereof zor incense. This is incense zor. This word zor, I think, is an interesting word. It has to do with something that doesn't belong. One of these things is not like the other. You know, there's a point where even Israel can be called zor to someone touching the altar. The typical Israelite seed does not touch the altar. They are zor to that altar. The priest is the one that has to do it. David, welcome. We're so glad to see you. Nancy, nice to see you too. I'm going to turn on your Nancy, did I? Oh, I guess I'm unmuting you. Well, V, I think we're working against each other here. Zor. We're going to see this word used one other time today. Let's just kind of keep it in mind. It's a good word to learn. That was 9. We're on 10. Aaron shall make, it says, atonement. The word here, you know, we talk about the Day of Atonement. It's the Day of Coverings, Yom Kippurim, Day of Coverings. It's called by the Jews Yom Kippur. It's multiple coverings. And coverings are made on this day for the Ark of the Covenant, the gold altar, the lamp, the table of incense, and all their utensils, the tent, the priests themselves, and all Israel. And I probably should even include the altar of burnt offerings, the bronze altar that's outside. That's Yom Kippur. We're talking about a covering. So here it says, and Aaron shall make atonement. No, he shall make a covering upon its horns once a year with the blood of the kata'ah of Kippurim. Here it is. Kippurim kata'ah. Here it is. Kippurim. That says Kippur, but it's Kippurim. It's got the im at the end of it. And the kata'ah, or it's the kata'ah, the coverings of offenses. So when we're talking about doing this, it says once a year. What day is it once a year that he's talking about doing this on? Well, we're going to find out. It's going to be on Yom Kippurim, the Day of Coverings, the 10th day of the 7th month. It's interesting how some things are introduced to us before other things are introduced to us so that we can kind of fit the pictures together. Good example of that we're going to see today. Last week, the priests were anointed with oil. Today, we're going to find out how to make the oil. So you see how things kind of fit together. We go one direction, and then we're kind of got to come back and revisit some things. I think it's interesting. And Aaron shall make a covering upon its horns once a year with the blood of the sin offering. Remember, I said he was going to make a covering for many things in the tabernacle. A kata'ah of covering. Once a year he shall make a covering upon it throughout your generations. It is most holy to Yehovah. It is, here's the word they use, kodeshim, most holy. Oftentimes they use the words. And I think the second kodeshim is the qualitative use of that word, kodesh, kodeshim. Sometimes they'll say men, when they want to say all men. This is kodesh, kodeshim, for most holy. I like that. Then Yehovah spoke to Moses, saying, when thou take a census of Israel's seed. You know, we've got children of Israel. How many Bibles call Israel's seed, B'nai Israel, the children of Israel? Some do a little better in calling it the sons of Israel. But that's not right Israel either, because not all the sons are Israel's seed. Remember, you can only be Israel's seed if you're an Ezra man. A man who has left the kingdom of his birth, circumcised himself, and then at Passover took part in the Passover. That's an Ezra man. And that is Israel's seed. So now it says, when thou take a census of Israel's seed for their number, then every man shall give a ransom for himself to Yehovah. When you number them, that there may be no plague among them when you number them. You don't just number Israel's seed whenever you feel like it. No, you're being instructed to do this. And I wonder, does this happen on Yom Kippurim? I wonder. It doesn't really say when this is going to happen. But notice, it's every man. We're not talking about ger man. We're not talking about servant man. We are talking about Israel's seed man. Ezra man. What do I have as far as a note here? Men. Ish. There are no lady ish. Okay. This is what everyone among those who are numbered shall give. Half a shekel, according to the shekel of the sanctuary. We're talking about silver. A shekel is 20 gerahs. The half shekel shall be, it says, an offering. Look what it says here. The word is a present. Tarumah. The shekel shall be, the half shekel shall be a present to Yehovah. We're blessing Yehovah. Of course, we need to do that. If we don't do it, we're going to get kicked out of Israel, I think. Let's find out. The half shekel is a present to Yehovah, everyone included among those who are numbered from 20 years old and above shall give an offering to Yehovah. So are there Ezra men who are younger? Remember, you're circumcising yourself and all the men of your household. Does that mean that all the men of your household are going to be Ezra men? Maybe. Seems like it might, but maybe you have to be a certain age to be an Ezra man. Here it's talking about 20 years old and above shall give the present to Yehovah. Again, same word. The rich shall not give more, and the poor shall not give less than half a shekel. When thou give a present to Yehovah to make a covering for yourselves. There we are. We're making a covering for ourselves. There's the taroma. Again, a present, not an offering. And you shall take the atonement money, the covering. And you know what? They say money. Look what it actually says. It says the covering silver. This is a silver coin. Silver is money. This is what's going to be money for us in the future. This is a 1 ounce piece of silver. It's going to be very valuable in the future. Right now, you can get it for $30, maybe a little bit more with the fees that go along with it, but around $30, and it's probably going to be worth over $1,500 in the future. Very, very good investment. Well, that's just a hiatus, but I want you to understand they're talking about silver. The covering silver is what they're talking about here when they're talking about take the covering silver of Israel's seed and shall appoint, and thou shalt take the covering silver from Israel's seed, and thou shalt appoint it for the service of the tent of meeting, that it may be a memorial to Israel's seed before Yehovah to make a covering for yourselves. The silver is being used to make a covering. Then Yehovah spoke to Moses, saying, you shall also make a laver of bronze. So now we're getting finally to the laver of bronze. We've got the bronze altar built. The laver of bronze is going, well, here it is. It's going to go between the tabernacle and the altar, and with its base also of bronze. For washing, you shall put it between the tent of meetings and the altar. That's the Ohel Moed, the tent of meetings and the altar. And you shall put water in it. Where does this bronze come from? It seemed to me that it's said in here. For Aaron and his sons shall wash their hands and their feet in water from it when they go into the tabernacle of meeting, or when they come near the altar to minister, to burn an offering. Again, you got to get rid of some of this. To raise smoke by fire to Yehovah. That's what this altar does. Raises smoke by fire to Yehovah. Qatar. What is the Qatar? That is 999-6999. 6999. To raise. Fire. To raise smoke. Yeah, to raise smoke. That's what we're talking about. Qatar. A verb meaning to produce smoke. Often smoke is made by burning incense, but every major offering may also be associated with this word. Yes, we're raising a sweet aroma to Yehovah. Smoke to Yehovah. I love it. This is not a bad thing. Bringing offerings, I don't even like to say offerings, bringing things that will be raised to raise smoke to Yehovah. That's a good thing. We're blessing Yehovah. That's why he says in Exodus 20 about the Olah offering and the Shalomim, that when we do it, he will come to us and bless us because we're blessing him by bringing a sweet aroma to his nostrils. Okay, 21. So we're talking about this laver bronze. So they shall wash their hands and their feet, lest they die. It shall be a statute forever to them, to him, Aaron, and his descendants throughout their generations. Moreover, Yehovah spoke to Moses, saying, so now we're going to talk about they didn't talk about where the raw material came from for the bronze altar. I thought I had that here. Maybe this is it. And this comes from Exodus 38. So this is Moses telling us that we're supposed to make the bronze altar. 38, and that area is about us actually making it. So here's what it says. And he made a brass altar and the base of brass from the assemblies. It says mirrors, who assembled at the door of the tent of tabernacle. If you go to this, it says, look at this. And he made the laver of bronze and its brass and its base of bronze from the bronze mirrors of the serving women who assembled at the door of the tabernacle of meetings. Where do they even get that? It says nothing in this verse about the women. It says the assemblies who assembled. Assemblies, mirrors, maybe the mirrors is there. Were the mirrors possibly made of brass? Highly smoothed, for lack of a better verb, so that people could actually see themselves. Did it come from mirrors? Let's see if that mirrors is even there, just out of curiosity, Questioning minds want to know. Bronze, they call them glasses, looking glasses. So yeah, vision, mirrors, looking glasses. So apparently they came from the assemblies, mirrors, who assembled at the door of the tent of Moed. I could see where maybe they might get ladies out of that, but it says nothing about ladies. Of course, ladies don't go past the door of the tent of Moed. Only men go past the tent of the door of Moed. So, it's possible that it is ladies, but let's say it the way it's supposed to be. The assemblies that assembled at the door of the tent of Moed. Are you with me? I don't want to add anything to Yehovah's words. I could see where maybe they would get that. But to write it like that as a translation, I think that is wrong. Then he made the courts on the south side. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't go back to where we were. Oh, I gotta go here. All right, we want 30, probably 18. There we are. Bronze laver, yes. Okay, so we were just starting here. Moreover, Yehovah spoke to Moses, saying, also take for yourselves quality spices, 500 shekels of myrrh. Myrrh. Where does myrrh come from? An aromatic gum resin obtained from several trees and shrubs of the genus. Yes, go ahead. Wayne, did you want to say something? Okay. From the genus Camphora, of India, Arabia, Eastern Africa, used in perfumes and incense. Also called the balm of Gilead. Oh, I didn't know that. That's interesting. That was myrrh. Half as much sweet smelling cinnamon, 250 shekels. That's how much half of that is, because we had 500 shekels. So now they're just telling us, oh, by the way, that is 100 or 250 shekels, and 250 shekels of sweet smelling cane, 500 shekels of acacia, according to the shekel of the sanctuary, and a hin of olive oil. Acacia, the acacia tree is, or spice, which is used for anointing oils. That doesn't really tell us much about the acacia or the acacia tree. Let's move on. You shall make from these a holy anointing oil, an ointment compounded according to the arts of the perfumer. It shall be a holy Kodesh anointing oil, and thou shalt anoint the tabernacle. So look at what he's doing. He's going to anoint. This is as we're setting up the tabernacle. You shall anoint the tabernacle of meeting, the tent of Moed, the ark of the testimony, the table and its utensils, the lampstand and its utensils, the altar of incense, the altar of burnt offering and all its utensils. Oh, and the laver and the base. You shall consecrate them. Remember, that's what we were doing last week. We were consecrating the priests to the service of Yehovah. And you shall consecrate them, that they may be Kadesh, Kodashim, where whatever touches them must be holy. In other words, nobody touches these but the priests, and only after they wash their hands and feet. You know, this makes me think. Last week, I called our video HaMashiach, the Anointed One. So often, we have this man, Jesus, being the Anointed One. How was he anointed? And by whom was he anointed? Woman with some oil? We just found out we have to make the oil in a certain way. And we're going to see anybody that uses it. Well, here, let me just continue reading. Think about this as we go. Thou shalt consecrate them, that they may be most holy. Whoever touches them must be holy. And thou shalt anoint Aaron and his sons and consecrate them, that they may minister to me as priests. And thou shalt speak to Israel's seed, the Ezra men, saying, this shall be a holy anointing oil to me throughout your generations. It shall not be poured on man's flesh, nor shall you make any other like it. I need to change these. I don't know why. Oh, I made Israel you. Okay. It's a plural you. I probably should make it in green, but I wanted to bring you back to Israel. It says, nor shall y'all make any other like it, according to its composition. It is holy and shall be holy to y'all. Whoever compounds any like it, whoever puts any on an outsider. What's an outsider? A Zor. This is a Zor. Jesus would be a Zor to what we're doing with this holy anointing oil. He's not a priest. He's not a king. A woman who's doing it is nothing. Nobody. She's got no authority. Only Moses has the authority to do what he's doing, to consecrate these priests. And remember, when a king like Saul, like David, is anointed, it was done by someone like Saul. Again, a man of Elohim, that Yehovah told him to do it. And he had the right anointing oil. Well, again, we follow these narratives thinking, oh, well, Jesus was anointed, don't you know? No, he wasn't. You've learned lies. It doesn't fit what Yehovah says has to happen. Son of Elohim? No, I'm a son of Elohim. Those Ezra men like me are sons of Elohim, Israel's seed. If there was a Jesus, he could have been a son of Elohim. If there was a Jesus, I know for sure that there was. Ain't gonna stake my life on it, that's for sure. Not that important. No outsider, no Zor. Here's the word again, Zor. No Zor. It says, whoever puts anything on it, of it, puts any of it, I'm talking about the anointing oil, on an outsider shall be cut off from among his people. This is something that's really serious. You're not going to create this anointing oil, and you're certainly not going to use the anointing oil. You're going to get kicked out. Well, now we're going to talk about the incense. That was the anointing oil. This is the incense. Remember, the oil is the oil that we used last week by Moses. Well, Yehovah told Moses to use it on the priests to consecrate them. Now he talks about the incense. And Yehovah said to Moses, take sweet spices, stekti, is how I'm going to say that. Anyaka, galbanum, and frankincense. With these spices there shall be equal amounts of each. Stekti, it says a sweet spice used by the ancient Jews to make incense. No, that doesn't really tell us much. Anyaka. This is an interesting thing. At first I thought, I don't know if we're going to have this in our anointing oil. This comes from shellfish. An ingredient of the Mosaic incense, probably operculum of some kind of strombus. I looked up the word strombus and got strombite, a petrified shell of the genus strombus. So there's the strombus. Here it says in the TSK. Now, this is the Treasury of Scriptural Knowledge. This is not a dictionary. And normally the TSK, I love the TSK because all it usually does is relates one verse with another. Here a little, there a little. I like that. So we can kind of see what's going on in Yehovah's word. It says the word, whatever that is generally allowed to denote anyaka, nailfish from its form. It is also rendered in the Septuagint and the Vulgate. It is a shell of the purpa and of a whole class of myrmex and serves as a basis for the principal perfumes in India. So it's got some history for being used as perfumes. There was another, I'm not going to even pull it up. Galbanum. This is the other one that was kind of foreign to me. I've never heard the word. A bitter aromatic gum resin extracted from Asiatic plants or any of several related plants and used in incense and medicinally as a counter-irritant. And then we had frankincense. We'd already talked about frankincense. Equal amounts. He says, thou shalt make of these an incense, a compound according to the art of a perfumer, salted, pure, and kadesh, holy. And thou shalt beat some of it very fine, and put some of it before the testimony in the tent of Moed, where I will meet with thee. It shall be most holy to thee. But as for the incense, thou shalt not make. Y'all shall not make any of it for yourselves. According to the composition, it shall be to thee holy unto Yehovah. Last verse for today. Whoever makes any of it to smell it, he shall be cut off from among his people. You know, there are some things that we just don't do. It gets us cut off from among Yahweh's people. And remember, he's not talking to ladies. He's talking to men. If a man gets cut off from Yehovah's people, so does the woman. If the woman does it, it's the same as the man did it. And he still gets cut off. And because he gets cut off, she gets cut off. The woman's sin falls on her man. That's how it always is. That's why when a woman takes a vow, the man can annul the vow because he overrides it because he is her man. But if he does nothing, then the vow stands, and because she vowed it, he's stuck with it. Well, there's so many interesting things about how Yehovah's word relates to a man and a woman. You know, we will go through this little by little, piece by piece. Yeah, here a little, there a little. As we go through Torah, it's very interesting to see the differences. Men have different duties and responsibilities before Yehovah than women do. Women have different responsibilities than men do. Duties and responsibilities. Okay, well, thank you for joining me. We'll catch you again next time. Have a wonderful day. Bye now. Okay.